Lucasfilm's latest entry in the 40-year franchise vaulted to $745.4 million worldwide as Star Wars: The Last Jedi brought in a further $143.6 million in the second session. Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures International. Last week, the sci-fi adventure pushed the Walt Disney Company past the $6 billion worldwide mark, and it was in fine form over the holiday weekend, adding $75.1 million through Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures International to stand at $380.3 million, and has reached $365.1 million in North America. Heading into the vacation period, the UK leads the way on $67.4 million ahead of the January 5th launch in China, while Germany has generated $40 million, France $29.3 million, Japan $28.5 million, and Australia $26.9 million. Spain has delivered $13.6 million, Brazil $12.1 million, Russia $11.9 million, Italy $10.7 million, Mexico $10 million, Sweden $8.5 million, South Korea and Poland $7.1 million, and Denmark $6.4 million. Star Wars: The Last Jedi ranks as the highest-grossing release of 2017 in Sweden and Denmark, the second in Australia, and the third in the UK. In Europe, Star Wars: The Last Jedi is the fourth highest-grossing film of 2017, giving the Walt Disney Studios 3 of the top 5 films of the year. The sci-fi opera added $19.7 million globally from 776 screens through IMAX for $75 million, which executives said was the second highest total, excluding China, behind Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Pixar's Coco added $13.3 million to stand at $325 million, leading in China on an exceptional $165.5 million to establish it as the second highest-grossing animation there behind Zootopia. Mexico has delivered a similarly impressive $57.6 million, followed by France on $17.7 million, then Spain on $12.2 million. Next comes Russia on $9.2 million, Germany on $5.9 million, and Indonesia on $4.7 million. The animation hit arrives in Australia and Italy this week, and the global tally stands at $486.3 million. Sony Pictures releasing international Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle arrived on $49.5 million from 53 territories day and date, with the North American release as the two combined for $100 million worldwide. The adventure reboot captured top spot in 28 territories, among them 8 in Asia, where it generated $14.8 million overall, led by an astonishing $7.1 million in Malaysia, including a record $2.3 million in paid previews. Elsewhere, the film scored $3.4 million in Indonesia, $1.8 million in Singapore including previews, $1.4 million in Hong Kong including previews, and Vietnam on $790,000 including previews. Jumanji debuted in second place in the UK on $10.1 million including previews, and opened top in Russia on $4.8 million before the bow of local favorite Yoki. Mexico produced $2.9 million to lead the market, and there were number 1 results in France on $3.4 million including previews, Germany on $2.5 million including previews, UAE on $1.7 million, Spain on $1.4 million, and the Netherlands on $1.2 million including previews. This week brings debuts in Australia, followed in the first week of 2018 in Italy, South Korea and Brazil. Jumanji opens in China on January 12 and Japan on April 6. China update: Feng Xiaoging's youth, about a group of dancers in the People's Liberation Army during the Cultural Revolution and the Sino-Vietnam War, grossed $34.5 million for $115.5 million. Legend of the Demon Cat opened in China on $33.5 million. Bleeding Steel opened on $27.6 million, along with The Gods, The Two Worlds opened on $21 million, and serial killer thriller The Liquidator starring Deng Chao arrived on $19.5 million. Tiger Zinda Hai opened on $3.6 million. Fox International: The animation Ferdinand grossed a further $21.6 million in its second session as the running total climbed to $30.7 million. The Bull opened in the UK at number 5 on $4.8 million, France at number 4 on $2.1 million, Russia and Mexico in third place each on $1.9 million and $1.3 million, respectively, and Italy in second place on $1.1 million. Spain generated $1.1 million for third. Australia delivered a $957,000 to hold for $4.1 million, and Germany $632,000 for $1.8 million. Murder on the Orient Express used a $6.4 million session in 36 markets to pull up to $212.3 million. France and Japan were the weekend highlights on $1.3 million for $4.1 million and $987,000 for $8.4 million, respectively. The Greatest Showman starring Hugh Jackman as circus impresario P.T. Barnum ventured into its first 3 markets day and date with North America and arrived in South Korea as the top Western title on $2.8 million, top in Taiwan on $698,000, and third in Hong Kong on $564,000. Universal Pictures International Pitch Perfect 3 starring Anna Kendrick and Rebel Wilson debuted day and date with North America in 14 territories and delivered $9.8 million, combining with $27 million from North America for $36.8 million worldwide. The singing troupe generally debuted at number 3 behind The Last Jedi and Jumanji 2 and opened in the UK on $5.9 million including previews, Germany on $1.8 million, Singapore on $491,000, and the Netherlands on $481,000. Happy Death Day stands at $59.1 million, Darkest Hour and Early $5.4 million, and Spanish hit Perfectos Desconocidos $12.2 million after 4 weekends in Spain. IONSGATE International Julia Roberts Jacob Tremblay drama Wonder has reached $58.4 million after a $7.3 million weekend in 66 markets. The film debuted in Italy on $1.1 million and has generated $12.6 million in Brazil after 3 sessions, $7.7 million in Australia after 4, and $5.4 million in the UK after 4. 4 sessions have produced $4.7 million in Spain and $4.2 million in Mexico. This week's new debuts are in South Korea and Belgium. STUDIOCANAL Paddington 2 crossed $100 million internationally as the family sequel added $6.5 million for $102.8 million. Paramount Pictures International Daddy's Home 2 added $3.1 million from 55 markets for $68.3 million and stands at $16.8 million in the UK after 5 sessions and $9.2 million in Australia after the same amount of time. Mexico has generated $10.2 million after 4. Constantine comedy drama Dies as Bescheuert has opened in Germany on $2.2 million. Warner Brothers Pictures International Justice League grossed $1.7 million from 65 markets to reach $646.7 million. The lead market remains China on $103.9 million, followed by Brazil on $39.2 million, Mexico on $24.7 million, the UK on $22.7 million, and Australia on $14.9 million. STX International A Bad Mom's Christmas stands at $54.1 million following a $1.4 million haul. Jackie Chan crime drama The Foreigner has reached $106 million.